Good evening and welcome to the 7 o'clock evening news. I'm John Shelton. We begin the news with the main headlines. First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister held talks with US Secretary of State on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. At least 34 people have been killed in 3 bombings around Baghdad hours before the government was due to lift a nighttime curfew. The UN Security Council warns of further steps if Houthi rebels in Yemen do not immediately return to talks. And Munich Security Conference presents a peace plan drawn up by France and Germany to end the conflict in East Ukraine. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to Her Excellency the Governor-General of Grenada, Dr. Cecile La Grenade, on the occasion of her country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Naif Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to Her Excellency the Governor-General of Grenada, Dr. Cecile La Grenade, on the occasion of her country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. Under the patronage of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, Kuwait's 4th International Arabian Horse Festival was held yesterday evening at the Hunting and Equestrian Club, with the participation of 565 Arabian horses from 14 countries. His Highness the Emir has deputised the Deputy Minister of Emiri Diwan Affairs, Sheikh Ali Jarala Al Sabah, to attend the festival on behalf of His Highness the Emir. His Highness the Emir's representative was received upon his arrival by head of the festival's organising committee, Sheikh Dr. Ali Nasser Al Ali Al Sabah, Assistant Under Secretary for the Arabian Horses Affairs, Sheikha Sarah Farhad Al Sabah, and other members of the committee. The festival began with the national anthem, and then the horses presented their performances, and finally Sheikh Ali Al Jarrah distributed the prizes to the winners. On the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference, the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Khaled Al Hamad Al Sabah met with foreign ministers of a number of brotherly and friendly countries to discuss bilateral relations and review the latest regional and international developments. The foreign ministers were Børge Brende of Norway, Bogdan Orescu of Romania, Tama Perugashvili of Georgia, Sama Shukri of Egypt, Sebastian Kurz of Austria, and Nikola Popovsky of Macedonia. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Khaled Al Hamad Al Sabah and his GCC counterparts met with the US Secretary of State John Kerry. The meeting, held on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference, dealt with the latest regional and international developments. Sheikh Al-Sabah Khalid chairs the State of Kuwait's delegation to the three-day conference that kicked off yesterday in Munich. At least 34 people were killed in 3 bombings around Baghdad today, hours before the government was due to lift a long-standing nighttime curfew on the capital. In the first blast, a suicide bomber detonated his explosive belt in a restaurant in the neighbourhood of New Baghdad, killing at least 12 people and injuring several more. The second attack took place shortly afterwards when 2 bombs ripped through the bustling Sharqa Market district, killing at least 10 people. Also, a bomb killed at least 2 and wounded another 7 in Abu Sher in Baghdad's Dura neighbourhood. Meanwhile, US-led forces launched 15 airstrikes against the so-called IS in Iraq and 11 in Syria, adding that 9 targets in Syria centred around the border city of Kobani that was recaptured from the militants last month. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi urged the international community to support the country in what is ultimately a struggle between civilization and barbarism, referring to the fight against the so-called IS militant group. Speaking in Berlin, al-Abadi also said that unemployment is the best recruiter for violent extremism, especially among young people. He thanked Germany for the aid his government has received so far in the fight against the so-called IS militants group. Abadi, who was later due to attend the Munich Security Conference, added that Iraq needs continuous support from Germany and all coalition countries to defeat the so-called IS militants. The UN Security Council has warned of unspecified further steps if the Houthi rebels who took power in Yemen do not immediately return to talks. Gulf Arab states had called for a stronger international response after the rebels announced a political takeover in the capital Sana'a. Heber Abdul Rahman has more details in the following report.
An explosion outside the presidential palace in Yemen, Sana'a, wounded today 3 Houthi militiamen guarding the residence. The explosion followed an announcement in which the Houthis formed a security commission, including former ministers, a day after its takeover, which opponents denounced as a coup. Also today, members of the militia kidnapped 17 activists who have taken part in the demonstrations opposing the group. The Houthis said that the defense and interior ministers who attended the gathering in which the group issued the decrees in the government of outgoing President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi were among the 18 members of the Security Commission. The statement said that the Security Commission will lead the country's affairs until the establishment of a presidential council. It also said that the commission would be chaired by General Mahmoud al-Shuhaibi, defense minister in the government of Hadi, who offered to resign on January 22nd under the pressure from the Houthis. The head of the cabinet, Abdelaziz Mansour, suggested that the general had been compelled by force to appear alongside the Houthis. Separately, the United Nations Security Council said in a statement that it was gravely concerned after Yemen's powerful Houthis rebels dissolved the parliament and establishing an interim council. The Chinese UN ambassador Liu Ji said that the members of the Security Council declared their readiness to take further steps if UN-led negotiations are not immediately resumed.
Egyptian military airstrikes have killed at least 27 fighters in northern Sinai region in one of the biggest security operations in the region in months. Apache helicopters targeted fighters belonging to Sinai province, which has pledged allegiance to the so-called IS militant group. The latest operations came after at least 30 were killed, including soldiers and civilians, and more than 100 injured in one of the bloodiest attacks witnessed in Egypt's North Sinai. The nighttime attacks came in the form of car bombs and artillery by militants on police and military installations in Egypt's Al Arish. Last month, Egypt's government had announced that it would be extending the state of emergency and curfew into North Sinai by 3 months to April 25th. Secretary-General of the United Nations and the Secretary-General of the Arab League have both urgently called on donor countries to fulfill their financial obligations they had undertaken in October 2014 during the Gaza Reconstruction Conference held in Cairo. Ban Ki-moon and Emil Al-Arabi urged in a joint statement issued here today to work on the conversion of those funds as soon as possible, including contributions made to the UN organisations concerned, which carry out vital operations in Gaza to avoid further deterioration of the already bad humanitarian situation. They said that because of the pace of reconstruction is still slow, it is important now to expand the scope of reconstruction efforts that have been made so far to restore hope to the people of Gaza and stability on the basis of international responsibility in the reconstruction, and lift the siege. They noted, however, the encouraging progress that has been made in the framework of the interim mechanism for the reconstruction of Gaza, which has so far assisted nearly 55,000 owners of ruined homes in Gaza to get construction materials to repair their homes. The Jordanian and American governments did not confirm the killing of Kayla Muella, as IS militants did not provide a photographic evidence of her death. The so-called Islamic State militants released a statement today claiming that Muella, a 26-year-old aid worker from Prescott, Ariz, was killed in the falling rubble of a building in northern Syria, which was struck by bombs from a Jordanian warplane. Top Jordanian officials said the announcement was cynical propaganda. Jordan dropped 72 munitions as part of Thursday's strikes in Al-Hasaka in northeastern Syria, while almost 24 US warplanes, including F-16 and F-22 fighter jets, played a supporting role in the strikes. The Munich Security Conference in Germany with the main world powers is focused on escalating crisis in Ukraine. French President François Hollande, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed to develop a peace plan together, which they will discuss with Ukraine's leader Petro Poroshenko by telephone tomorrow. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov blamed the US and the European Union today for the intensifying conflict. Our reporter Dina Nasser has more on this story.
Speaking at a security conference in Munich, Sergei Lavrov said the European Union directly supported what he said was a coup d'etat in Ukraine. The EU Association Agreement, a measure deepening the economic and political ties with Europe, was the issue that sparked the crisis in 2013, when then-President Viktor Yanukovych's decision to shelve the deal in favour of closer ties with Russia sparked protests by hundreds of thousands. Those demonstrations eventually drove Yanukovych from power in February 2014. Russia refused to recognize Ukraine's new government, which it said came into power in an illegal coup d'etat and effectively took control over Crimea in what has turned into Europe's great geopolitical crisis since the end of the Cold War. Lavrov's comments came today amid a frantic diplomatic push to end the violence in eastern Ukraine. On the sidelines of the conference on Saturday, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met with his German counterpart, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, to discuss the crisis in Ukraine and Syria.
Let me just say thank you to Germany for hosting this event, but more importantly for tremendous partnership on every crisis we are facing today. We're very appreciative for all the cooperation and the similar thinking.
Time of crisis around the world, and we have not any choice. We have to deal with any of them. So therefore, I think we are talking today about Ukraine and Syria and some other places around the world. So therefore, let us start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Separately, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko met with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg to discuss the unrest in eastern Ukraine. Martin Schulz, the President of the European Parliament, who has also attended the Munich Security Conference, expressed his hope that a new ceasefire in Ukraine would soon be reached. The urgent diplomacy comes as Western anxiety over the conflict grows and sanctions bite even harder on Russia's economy. The resurgent fighting has prompted the US to consider giving lethal weapons to Ukraine, an option opposed by European nations. On Sunday, the leaders of Russia, Germany, Ukraine and France were expected to hold a telephone discussion about a possible joint document on implementing a much-violated September peace plan. The peace plan drawn up by France and Germany is one of the last chances to end the conflict in East Ukraine, French leader François Hollande says. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said it was unclear if the plan would succeed, but it was definitely worth trying. Merkel told the conference that while there was no guarantee that the latest push for diplomatic resolutions would succeed, it was essential to try to reach a peace deal.
Voters in New Delhi headed to polling stations today to cast their ballots in the state assembly polls. Nearly 12 million Delhi residents were expected to choose representatives for the 70-member assembly. The two main contenders appeared to be the Aam Aadmi Party, the Common Man's Party, and the national incumbent Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party. Top leaders from the political parties were campaigning in the city, hoping to persuade the voters. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership was asking the people to vote for good, stable government and support the BJP's chief ministerial candidate, Kiran Bedi. Results will be announced 10th of February. 9 people were killed after attackers hurled petrol bombs at a bus and truck in Bangladesh. Police reportedly blamed opposition activists for the violence, which also injured 30 others. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, boycotted that election, saying it would be rigged, and is now trying to force Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to step down and call new polls. Meanwhile, 6 people died when petrol bombs hit a packed bus from the northern district of Gebadanda to Dhaka today. Also, a similar arson attack on a truck in the southern district of Barisal killed 3 people. At least 70 people were killed in attacks since anti-government protests began last month. The Nigerian militant group Boko Haram attacked a military base in eastern Niger, expanding its reign of terror across the region. Niger's government said it killed more than 100 of the group's fighters as it repulsed the attack on the border town of Bosso. It is the first time the Nigeria-based insurgents launched an assault in Niger after infiltrating northern Cameroon for the past few months, killing dozens of people. The Boko Haram insurgency has left thousands dead and displaced more than 1 million over the past 6 years. For the first time in Kuwait, the 1001 Inventions exhibition was inaugurated at the Scientific Centre in Salmiya. The inauguration ceremony was attended by a number of students of schools and universities who also took part in explaining to the audience the idea of each invention. The exhibition aims at shedding light on the achievements which were made by the Arab and Islamic scientists that added to the civilization and technology that we witness nowadays. Abdul Rahman has more details in the following report.
An exhibition of facts, history and contributions by Middle Eastern people to the world was inaugurated at the Scientific Center in Salmiya under the patronage of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Subah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Subah.
Actually, I would like to thank the KFAS for taking this opportunity for these exhibitions that will this exhibition talking about this our culture, the Islamic culture, especially in science that depends on all the new foundation for our science, our culture. This foundation depends on also the civilization, especially for the science. And we will bring our students to visit this exhibition that will help them a lot, especially whether it's the elementary school or high school or university.
The campaign of the 1001 invention idea originated in the United Kingdom, where it was very clear to those involved in the creation of this exhibition that in the formal education system there is a gap of about 1,000 years, that history lessons skip over it, and the students in the West, and therefore the adults in the West, they don't seem to know what happened between the Roman and Greek civilization and the Renaissance.
The exhibition tells of the achievements of the Islamic civilization. Inventions by Arab scientists highlighted at the exhibition are based on historical and scientific facts and knowledge and links from the ancient Greeks, Romans and Egyptians. These scientists achieved new discoveries and paved the way for the European Renaissance.
It's one of the projects of Kuwait Foundation for the Advancement of Sciences under the patronage of His Highness the Emir, and we thank His Highness for his support for opening such an important exhibition that has been witnessed and visited by 6 million visitors around the globe. I mean, in 20 different cities. It started in London, New York, Washington D.C., Kuala Lumpur, and some GCC in some of the GCC cities such as Doha, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, and Jeddah.
1001 Inventions takes our young people here in Kuwait on a journey to a creative past where innovation and technology and a golden age was happening, to get them inspired to build a better future for the country.
Each zone tells the story and technology is used to share the history. Apart from a narration by actors in the film, live actors dressed in traditional Arab customs narrate the background of each zone. The exhibition succeeded in simplifying science and environmental awareness in an interactive way. The exhibition is a testimony of better understanding of facts and history of the world. The 1001 Inventions exhibition is an interactive exhibition highlighting the scientific and technological achievements of the golden age of Islamic civilization for more than 1,000 years, which still has a significant impact on our lives today. The exhibition is also accompanied by an educational campaign for students and teachers of schools, colleges, and universities. Coinciding with Kuwait's national celebrations and events, the 1001 Inventions exhibition kicked off under the patronage and directives of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Subah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Subah. The event is on till March 7th, and this is an invitation for everybody to come and enjoy. From the Scientific Center, I am Hib Abdurrahman reporting for English News.
For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. That's all the news for now, but you can join us again for the news brief at 11 p.m. Before we end, here's a quick reminder of today's headlines. First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister held talks with US Secretary of State on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. At least 34 people have been killed in 3 bombings around Baghdad, hours before the government was due to lift a nighttime curfew. The UN Security Council warns of further steps if Houthi rebels in Yemen do not immediately return to talks. And Munich Security Conference presents a peace plan drawn up by France and Germany to end the conflict in East Ukraine.